Frank, we've known each other for some time. I think you're one of the good guys, and I've always really enjoyed our chats and our interactions. And unfortunately, the industries that we serve have been beaten up a little bit lately. And I know you have really been doing some heavy lifting and some really good work with supporting and helping gyms, and you probably have a really good idea with all the connections that you have with all the gyms, not just gymnastics gyms, but actually dance schools and swim schools and all of them, of what might be going out there. Like, what is your state of the industry? How do you feel about, where things are at right now? Obviously, we all have our opinions, but I'd just love to get your feeling of where things are at.
Yeah, the facts are that there's several different pods. How are different groups feeling about this? Not just the different industry groups. Most of the industry groups are feeling the same thing: the gym, cheer, dance, swim, martial arts, ninja. Those industries are all feeling about the same thing. The business owners are feeling the same thing. They came from this shock, frightening pause. How am I gonna resume? Oh, I'm in this phase or that phase. Okay, how am I going to recover? Oh, I've got to do this, and this. Holy cow. And then they get busy. Once they went from the shock, anger, fear to action items, then they felt back in their in control zone, so to speak. So now preparing their facilities for reopening or already reopening is tremendous. We have two tremendous videos that were posted yesterday and today on the Third Level Forum from Jay Orkowski of Gymfinity and from Scott and Elsie Rose Wright of Sunshine Academy. Yep. Unbelievable videos that they posted, walking them through as owners, walking their customers through how the gym is being prepared and safe and all of that. Unbelievable videos that you should, every owner should duplicate those for their own facility and post them immediately to their own Facebook or put them out through a link to their customer base. You should immediately do those. Those two are state-of-the-art, professional, clear, friendly, and they're excellent.
And just to clarify, just in case, why do you think it's important for us to get those videos out?
I think it's important to get videos out because the public needs to be reaffirmed more than just a statement. A statement is one thing, but actually marketing what you're doing, presenting a visual, is getting the message out cleanly and effectively and emotionally. Yeah. And that is, and sending the message that we're professional, we are dealing with it, and we're going to go through this. So this whole that whole section of owners is one. Customers, of course, especially the paying customers, which is the parents, is the other one. That's the message we have to get out there to calm the waters, help start leading the return to normalcy. Because who's going to lead it? Are you just going to wait for your state, wait for your city, wait for the federal government, wait for customers to make up their mind? I don't think so. We did last week we did there's a free recording of it. It's customer perceptions now and post COVID-19. And that was done by a nationwide survey that our friend Clay Skirdahl presented. And it was incredibly informative, talking about the psychology of people, why they're going to reinvest, when they're going to reinvest in their child, what they're going to reinvest in, how long that's going to take, and what they're going to spend. So all of those things are there. Anyway, my point is that's the customer segment of the parent.
Right, and I think it's easy for us to forget that whilst we aren't sure, as business owners, there's so much uncertainty from just an average Joe who's trying to figure out what's best for his family. There's really no guidance there. I mean, at least we have some industry guidance. At least there's a Frank Sahlein in the gymnastics and swim industry. From a mum industry, there's so much noise out there, and there's negative noise, there's positive noise, there's don't go out, there's go out without any protections, there's all sorts of muddiness. But I think you're absolutely right, Frank. What you're saying is, as an industry and as a business, are we going to direct ourselves? Are we going to take control of our destiny? Or are we going to get buffeted around by all of these, it's politics, it's opinions, it's all sorts of stuff that's going out there. And what I'm hearing from you is it's time to take charge of our destiny in a smart, thoughtful, way that hopefully will give people confidence, correct?
Right. Well, we're creatively disruptive and third level consulting or leap learning, where these companies help on a global or national scale, help the owners get back a hold of what they're doing and take some constructive actions.
Yep.
The local owners need to take that same leadership role in their own community. And I'm sure most of the people on this forum, or our forum, or the professionals are already doing that, but one of the great things to do is definitely to put one of these video tours out, walking through exactly what you have done. It's a matter of taking control back and that road to recovery, Andy,
Yep.
which is what we're all on. And it's either road to recovery or roll over and die. What are you going to do?
Right, right. And I love that, because there's never been a time in the history of humanity that it's been easier for a little small business to be able to put together a video and to broadcast it to their local community in a way that's effective. And we do it every day, obviously. And, you know, having that kind of content, I will say to you, our data shows that the communities really do thrive on it and are attracted to it and want to learn. So, you know, I think that's really great. That's great advice from you, Frank. And I think just to fill people's minds who are listening to Frank, from a logistical nature of getting that message, that video together and putting it out there, it's very easy, very low cost to actually put that video in the hands of their community that needs to hear it. So, you know, that's really good. So talking about gyms and what they've gone through, and maybe talking about kind of like the more sadder side of things, you know, many gyms are closing down. Some gyms are just walking away from it. Some, you know, probably the majority that are walking away are probably at least selling the equipment on pennies of the dollar. But, you know, do you have any takes or any thoughts on what other options there are than basically just turning back and walking away? Is, you know, or what options are there if somebody has just got to the end and you know, what they should do, you know, and you know, should they look for more help and see if there's any other options to stay alive? Should that, you know, what are all the different things that are out there that you
Yeah, thank you. Well, all these things are happening in the industry. I'm going to lay out about 6 different scenarios for you, or for anybody who's out there. First of all, you have to decide whether you're going to survive or not. Now, we took a survey of about 600 club owners just before we did our first Survive and Thrive 4-day little webcast at the end of March, start of April, that Andy was on actually as well. When we did that, 20% of them at the time, 20% of those 600 said they were either going to close or they were looking at retiring anyway. So this was just a good impetus for them just to close. 20%, that's 120 facilities. That's too high of a percentage. And I get the feeling that was a knee-jerk gut reaction to go, oh my God, on the heels of the Nasser thing, this is awful. We have some clients that have only been in business 4 years, and they went immediately from opening their doors to the Larry Nasser debacle right into the COVID thing. And so they think this is what business is like, and they're just throwing up their hands. But that's a rare thing. But anyway, make this a survival decision. Make the decision. It's that, you know, fight or fight thing. What flight or fight? What's it going to be? Most people have decided to fight because they've got actions. But if you're not, if you're thinking, I need other options, it's not just enough for me to fight this, and try to go slowly get back 30%, 40%, 50%, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110% of my children, my staff, my revenues, and my profits. Am I going to slowly do that? How the heck long is that going to take anyway? Well, we all know, realistically, you might be able to press a magic button and be back at 100% of everything in 4 months. Can you make it 4 months is the question. And that's what's pushing people to look at other options and other alternatives. One, sure, just close. You know, if you have the option to get out of your lease and you can sell your equipment, you can just close. Number two, you can just choose to fight and collaborate like crazy with other people through these type of forums, through Creatively Disruptive forums, through our forums, through services that Andy offers, that we offer, that Leap offers. Whatever it is, it's collaborate and just keep stepping up. Number three is you can sell. You can. It's a seller. It's a market out there now that's unfortunately is a buyer's market, because the value of the businesses based on your cash flow, your revenue this year, 2020, has been seriously impacted. And of course, numbers speak, discretionary earnings speaks, and your most recent year, speaks even louder and gets weighted even more. So you can sell, or you can put your creative thinking hat on. You could actually merge. You might look at some players that are in your local area and think about doing a merger. Another one is acquisition. You might actually put your horns out and go, I'm going to acquire. We've got 2 or 3 clients that actually acquired others in their local area as well. We'll go back and talk about each one of these for a minute. But another one is put a management team in place. If you're thinking, I just can't do this because I don't have access to all the best practices or the economies of scale or the really streamlined technologies that will give my business an advantage in marketing, in HR, in finance, in technology, in risk management, all those things, you could do that too. We offer that service. There's other people that, I don't know if anybody does that, but we do it anyway. But the point is, there's 5 or 6 different options. And Andy, that was that's a really perceptive question, because it opens up options for people.
Right. And I think people don't understand that there's options that are different to close. Right. There's lots of options. I know we've worked with gyms. We're doing some stuff. We've put out an effort with a link for people who are feeling, that they can contact us quietly if they need assistance and help. And we go through the whole gamut of multiple things to potentially help people stay. Our motivation is almost always, I think your offerings, are basically everything. Our offerings are always, how do we keep that location open? That's always our motivation. But I think, I love these, because there's a lot of things in here that are real solutions that don't lead to financial difficulties personally, right? Which is what I really hope doesn't happen to people. So, let's go, you said we can go through these. I'd like you to go through these a little bit more in detail.
Sure.
So, go for it.
Well, sure. Well, like I say, first of all, the survival decision,
Right.
Make it, because people are back right now at people who have reopened, and there's a good portion that are not open yet. There's at least 50% that are not open. There's about maybe 35 to 50% that are open in the next couple of weeks, or at least through June. Most will be open one way or the other. Right. But the ones who have already made up their decision to survive, even if they're only opening up at 30% capacity or 40% of their capacity, they are doing it. And the clever ones have figured out a way to get to 50% as they're opening. And because they've communicated with their clients all the way through this in a proactive, constructive way, or at least they're starting to do it really well if they're still in pre-opening, they're going to have at least that. And for them, something is better than nothing, because many people have negotiated with their landlords or their mortgage banks or whatever, but many people got no break whatsoever. Many people did not get those breaks. And if so, you still got those expenses. Utilities don't exactly say, sure, just keep your lights on for your lights and heat and air conditioning on. It's not a problem. We'll be fine. We'll collect from you 6 months from now. That's not going to happen. Right. Insurance may work with you or may not, et cetera. But the point here is, for those who have decided that they are going to fight, even a 30%, 40%, 50% is a good enough starting point, because they know they'll get back, and they know that later on they'll pick up market share from those who did not get started again early and hard. Right. So that's the decision. Again, alternatives to closing, because that's what we're really talking about here. Right. Closing is just closing. I'm done. I was going to be done anyway. My business isn't worth that much. I'm just going to close. Fine, whatever. That's not what we're here for. So the collaboration part, though, is a big deal. And I know that Andy at Creatively Disruptive, I know that Third Level Consulting, I know Leap Learning, during this COVID-19, we've all experienced exponential growth, because people actually were searching for that education. They stopped and were able to think. That pause let them all think. And not only that, the PPP programs and the unemployment programs and all that had paid people that needed to be educated. So that was our silver lining, and it was their silver lining too. So collaborating that way with industry professionals has been a good thing for people. And they found out that those technologies and those services are not that expensive. That's what they found out. They were shocked to see the value that was in there. Same value as you got in a CRM, like a Jackrabbit or an iClass Pro. Absolutely. Or whatever that's there. So anyway, the collaborating with service and industry professionals has been a step up for the industry. We knew it was coming anyway. All this did was put that into fast forward, I think, Andy. That's for that option.
Yep.
So when you talk about acquisitions and mergers and acquisitions, Third Level specializes in that as well. But when you think about that, think about it strongly. You do not want to merge with someone just out of desperation. That's not a good business play. Partnerships are difficult at best. Even under the best of circumstances with the best of friends, partnerships are difficult. So a merger, even though you can put that out there as a possibility, because it is a possibility, but be very, very careful if you're going to do that. And a lot of times it's just a knee-jerk reaction. There was a lot of that in the cheer industry. And as soon as they came together, almost all of them within 6 months were back out again. That industry was also driven by greed and ego, which doesn't help the baseline psychology of a partnership.
Right.
Andy, you're laughing already. But it'd be better either be acquired by someone or you acquire them. One way or the other, clean. If you want to be acquired by somebody and they make the offer and you do it and they want to keep you on as an employee, a valued employee or manager, great. You want to acquire somebody else and keep them on as an employee or valued manager, great. Both are great. But just that merger, oh, it's kumbaya. Everybody's going to be just super fine. We're going to double our enrollment with half the expenses. No, you're not.
Right.
So, be aware of that. And you may have something to add to that.
Yeah, I think mergers, you've got to be very, very, very thoughtful, because you're absolutely right. Bad mergers lead to lawsuits. Bad mergers lead to bankruptcies. I've seen it happen, and not just this industry, in other industries. So you're absolutely right. It's like, I always say, a merger or a business partner, and I have a business partner, and I'm very lucky, the business partner that I have. But when you're getting into partnership, which is basically what it is, when you're getting into a partnership or a merger, kind of like that, especially two different gyms where it's not two different sets of skills. Because when there's two very different sets of skills and the partners come in, it actually can work a lot better, because you see the benefits and you kind of fit together, right? Mergers where it's very similar people with similar skill sets can be very, very difficult, right? Because they clash, they have different ideas, they have the sets. And what I always say to people that are looking at mergers or even partnerships is, treat it like a business marriage. Treat it like, you get married in real life, not because you're stressed out and you're like, oh God, I'm sick of being single, I just want to get married. And you just find someone who's walking down this, who across the street, and say, oh, let's get married. And that doesn't happen. That's not how it should be with business. You should have some affinity with that person. There should be some, would you marry them? Would you consider marry them? Obviously, the love thing is not there, but the business thought and the are our minds on the same goal? Do we have enough togetherness with enough things where we work together and we're congruent? And think of it like a business marriage, not a business merger. I actually think mergers and acquisitions are often very high level kind of accounting terms. The reality is it's a marriage, and
well, it is, and your core values have to be
aligned.
Not only do they have to be stated and defined, but they have to really be believed in. Because you can state anything you want at the very beginning. Everybody starts off with a.
And I would say my partnership with Russell Masters is an amazing one, mainly because Russell's skill set is amazing in a very different area that my skill set is. So we complement. We don't cross. There's almost very little crossover between our skill sets, and it works because of that.
Right, and with Leap Learning, my partners are Jeff Lilla, of course, and the kind of person he is, and Sharon Crowley, who's an icon and just an unbelievable person in the swim industry. And with Third Level, I owned that by myself for 20 years. And just last year, I have Barbara Ann and Ron, who are right and left arms and totally different skill sets, but just really powerful people in their own right, bought in. And I don't mind that, because that was a 10-year courtship, right? So that's a good thing. Exactly. That's what you want. But in our business, in the Wing Center business that my former wife and I had, we were always the only owners in that business. It was just far easier. We had killer managers, really great ones, but it was It was our business. So anyway, the mergers and acquisition thing, one way or
Yeah.
the other, you want it resolved. Acquisition is fine, or being acquired. Both those are fine if that's what you want, but then the lines are cleanly drawn and it's very, very nice. Another option is your management group. And we just started doing this a couple of years ago, actually. And that was actually by request. We had three levels of membership level. And then we started asking, people started saying, I want to be an absentee owner. I'm not ready to get rid of my business. I don't want to sell it. My real estate is dependent on it, but I want to move to XYZ location, Sanibel Island in Florida, right? Or somewhere else, but I want to run my business from afar. And we want a management team that's able to do it. Or somebody that wasn't moving, they just didn't have the capacity to do it. They realized that not only did they not have the capacity to run their business effectively, but they didn't have the money to hire a general manager to do it either, to have $60,000, $80,000 to do that. Consequently, we were asked in a couple of different instances to step in and do that and manage the teams, and we did, and we do that. And now there's other players coming to, and Andy and I were talking about this just before, there are investment bankers, investment groups coming to the market that are looking at acquisition, and they will use management groups to go in. As a matter of fact, for us, we go in as management groups. I would love to have Creatively Disruptive as our partner as well for that, and vice versa. If things like that happen, we trust Andy and Andy trusts us, and that's what you would do, is you'd bring quality programs and services to that kind of a arrangement. And that happens, by the way, in all other industries.
Yeah.
Our industry is just getting to it now.
And I think you've always been a bit of a champion of this, is that, most industries operate on another level of professionalism. We do have some gyms that operate tremendously professional, but professionals. You walk in and you'd almost feel that this is a corporate organized organization, and it's very organized. Everything looks good, everything makes sense. But we are in an industry where there's lots of organizations or lots of gyms where it is a mar and par. There is it is a little bit loosey goosey, and things aren't as possibly tight as other industries are. And I know that's always been a little, that's kind of like your core, is helping gyms tighten up and get more profitable and cut out the waste and be more. I hate to use the word professional, because most people in the gymnastics industry I see as very professional. But when you look at a business operation, I've seen time and time again, business owners make decisions because of their heart, not because of what makes sense business-wise, which puts them into difficult positions. And, I would like to see the gym industry, get a little bit better, and do the right thing, because oftentimes the heart is a short-term answer, and actually also ultimately causes more difficulties. And if you make a good decision based on the numbers, based on the facts, based on how to operate correctly, you actually end up making more good, right? Nothing good happens when a gym folds because of the heart, which does sometimes happen. Very rarely does a gym fold because of good business decisions.
Well, you're trying to get both. Our thrust is always to say, yeah, we understand the magic. The magic is there. The magic of gymnastics, the magic of swim, dance, cheer, whatever it is, ninja. There's magic between the coach and the gymnast. There's magic between the gymnast when they talk to their parent about it. If it's done right, there's magic between the parent and that front office. There's magic between ownership and the program managers. There's between the program managers and their instructors. There's magic there. But the system that's underneath it is what glues that together. And that becomes, the combination becomes the culture. Magic and the system become, if you have that become the culture, there's no way you can almost fail. There's almost no way you can fail.
Right.
But one without the other. There are businesses that have the magic, very little system, but they're in a great area. They got a lot of magic. They survive. Their accountant tells them how much money they made at the end of the year, and they're happy with that. You got businesses that are really systems driven that don't have some magic, and that's not any good either, because there's no heart, there's no soul to it. The ones that have learned to do both, it's a beautiful thing, and those are actually investment quality businesses now.
Yeah, and it comes back to my thing that I don't know if you've heard me say this, but it's kind of a bit of a mantra for me, that all business is made up of two things, and it's product and service, which you could call the magic, and marketing, and sales, which is often you could call the business, right? And you do not have you don't have a real business without the business side, the bringing in of new business, the keeping of business, the transactional part of dollars coming in. And you don't have a business if you don't have a product or service, right? No business exists that's successful that doesn't have both of those. So, you know, that is really good. And I think what you're talking about from a management team standpoint is that there is options. If you're just not a great business person, but you're a great coach and you're a developer of a great program, there's options for you to bring help in to actually get both sides, where you can actually, the culmination is you know, the mathematics of that equation was way more than what you had, and probably a lot less stress.
Yeah, definitely. The combination that we try to bring to the table is business, personal, and technical. And so in the third level side, the business courses, resources, apps, tools are there from the business side. Also the personal development side, people's mental and emotional and creative growth and physical growth, all that stuff. And then on the technical side, Leap Learning, that company does that. So pulling those things together for your people is a big deal. And then there's the overall management team, all the right dashboards for the right people in the right places. Our mantra is the right people in the right positions, doing the right things with the right tools.
Right.
Super simple. And yet that's it. Mantras are only good if they're simple and actually true. And
so basically, to summarize the management part of what we're talking about here is your options are keep doing what you're doing right now and figure it out yourself. Collaborating and learning to do it, to get better at doing it yourself, to actually buy into programs that give you the framework, which I know Third Level Consulting offers. And we offer some things when it comes to marketing, where you're still doing it yourself, but you've got a framework with which to work in and guides with which to follow. And then ultimately, you can actually have it done for you. Right. And I know we do marketing for them, for gyms. Many gyms end up coming to us and saying, we want you to just do it for us, Andy, because we want to focus on coaching. We don't want to focus on Facebook and Google and all of that, because it's a forever changing thing. And I know a lot of gyms come to you as well and do the same thing. They want, you know, you guys to take care of things because they want to focus on the business of gymnastics.
Well, I think where we dovetail, Andy, is certainly we have marketing apps, but we don't recommend the tactics. And the tactics more and more online is where we would send people to Creatively Disruptive. On your end, saying if you want to do it yourself, you could send them there. But we are much more focused on the HR part and the technology part and the risk management part. That we're much more focused on that, along with some of the other services we provide, because the HR is people's bugaboo. There's no we don't pretend to be the marketing expert that Creatively Disruptive is. That's silly. In terms of tactics and online, we have a really great marketing system for educating people. But when it comes down to the tactics and actual operations, that's where Creatively Disruptive rises to the top of the heap. And we don't duplicate each other's services at all, which is really good.
The nice thing that I see, Frank, and you've been doing this for some time, we're somewhat new to the table when it comes to this, is the amount of real expert help that there is for the industry in pretty much all the different parts of the industry, from coaching and learning different techniques to coaching, all the way through marketing, all the way through business and operations and HR. There's so much support and assistance that is there. And unfortunately, with the difficulties that USA Gymnastics have been dealing with, and how the nature of that situation is that they've quietened down, what's quite heartening as a former gym owner is the stepping up of these organizations like yourselves that have stepped up to go, okay, there needs to be additional support, there needs to be help. And that really has happened, and it's quite something to see. Obviously, our organization has stepped in to actually fill in the gaps and actually hopefully overfill the gaps. But I've got to say, if you're a gym owner and you feel unsupported or you don't know where to look, they're really, like I'll say right now, in the Gymnastics Marketing Group and the Third Level Consulting Group, if you go in there and ask the question, if we don't have answers or directly can't help you, we know where you can find that help. So there is lots of help and support, and it's quite something. I've really seen that over the last 2 months in this COVID environment. It's been amazing to me.
Well, and the collaboration has led to any number of online conferences, et cetera, et cetera. We held the first one in the industry, I know, at the end of March, start of April, our 4-day one. That was the launching point for the industry. And so a lot of people have done those since, which is great. I know that Lorraine Curry did one up in Canada. Now Jackrabbit is doing one in July. Yep. We have and you're going to hear it here first. I'm just going to drop a little bug in your ear because you'll see this come out soon. Andy talked about collaboration, and so did we. The ultimate collaboration, though, comes from not necessarily from for-profit groups, but from not-for-profits, because that's where an even hand can take place. So I'm just going to drop a little bug in the ear of this group. You'll see more of this come out in the next 2 to 4 weeks, but there will be an International Association of Child Development Programs, and the groups that will have steering committees, associations can join, service providers and product providers can join, individual businesses can join, and just interested professional individuals can join. They'll all have their own steering committees, and they'll all work together for excellence and professionalism and this collaboration, because that's the buzzword, but it's a not-for-profit, and you'll see the information come out very, very soon. It's a thing whose time has come, because the associations need to learn how to be better associations. Right. Service providers, and this is global, by the way, so need to learn from each other. The businesses, especially the top performers, need a place to go, because they've outstripped the industry. They've outstripped the industry and the associations to date. So all those factions are in and among themselves, but being able to listen in on any of the conversations or any of those that will be there and be reported is going to be great. It'll be a way to unify the industries globally in sports and arts and move everybody up together without these warring factions or members bitching about associations, or associations complaining about their service provider members. They won't do this or that or whatever. You know what? There's going to be plenty of that anyway, and plenty of competition, but that's human nature. We can't control that. What we can control is a platform where everybody can collaborate and communicate positively.
Yeah, that's great. And the final one I'd love, because I know many of you know Frank as like the guy who buys and helps people buy and sell gyms. I really would like a little bit of your expertise or thoughts on somebody in this environment who's looking to sell but also buy a gym. What are you seeing? What are thoughts that people should be taking into account there?
Well, first of all, if you're going to sell or buy, there's 3 things that need to happen. Number 1 is you need to conduct a market share analysis. And that's the one thing that we do. Obviously, you can purchase a very detailed market share based on your exact location, or the location you want to acquire, or whatever it is, and it radiates out 3, 5, 10 miles from that specific address, or 5, 10, 15 minutes drive time, whatever it is. It has all of these stats obviously in there, but we take that through a 6-stage Excel process to determine what the market share should be, plus or minus. In other words, how many students. And based on that, you can then generate a pro forma to see if that's going to work out. We do that as well. So that's step 1, is know the market area. Don't just guess. Right. Know. That's 1. Number 2 is, and that evaluation on that particular business, whether you're selling or buying, having that valuation done. Sometimes the buyer does it, sometimes the seller, sometimes they split costs, whatever. And then the third thing is what we call a confidential business review, which is about a 13-page single-space document on everything about that business, every single thing about that business. And then obviously there's your financial records. But having all those things in order will help you make a wise decision, an educated decision, whether you're selling or buying, merging, acquiring, whatever it is. But that's the process we use. You can do it yourself, but it's a long way around, I'll tell you.
Right. What are just, obviously there's those mechanical things to be thinking about. But if you're looking to sell your gym right now, I think we kind of spoke about it. Obviously it's a tough time to sell a gym. And if you're selling a gym, you're not on the right side of where the market's mind is, right? If you're selling a gym right now. Is there, I guess what you just said is have your ducks in order, have your documentation, have everything laid out to give you a chance to get the most you can, because you're going to get a hiding to nothing if you don't.
Oh yeah, it's actually a good time to sell a gym if you'd like to sell for half of what it's actually worth. It's a great time to sell. No problem. There's people out there that'll buy it. But if you want to acquire, it's an even better time, obviously. Yeah, we just have to work our way through this. This goes all the way back to that decision to survive, right? Once you've done that, then you've learned how to collaborate. You've learned how to associate with the right services, et cetera. Give yourself that fighting chance to recover. And then from there, then you figure out you want to sell, you want to merge, you want to acquire, you want to just have a management group come in and do it.
Yep.
Any of those options exist.
This has been a whole bunch of good information. I was expecting this from you, if I'm honest with you, Frank. I wouldn't expect anything less than a cavalcade of good, solid information. I really highly recommend anybody that's been listening to this to maybe go through, and you might want to listen to different parts of it multiple times, because I think there's a lot of good stuff. I do highly recommend anybody that's listening to join the Third Level consulting group. It's a really good, rich group. I've seen your group grow, Frank, from about 650 to in the thousands now in 2 months, which really shows what's been going on, right? It really shows that people have been looking for help. We've gone from about 1,500 to nearly 2,400 in 2 months, the biggest growth that we've had. So people are looking for help. And I really do recommend, if you're not already having some kind of connection with the Third Level team, that you do. They've got great information, lots of free information, very similar to the gymnastics marketing group, and then real help if you actually want more help. Lots of people that care, which is really important to me. There's, Frank cares. If you deal with him and you know him, you know that he cares about this industry. He was a gymnast. I've seen photos of him, and his heart is here, and he knows his stuff. And I highly recommend that you get involved with that. Frank, I'm going to leave the last word to you. What do you want to share with the industry just to go out of this chat?
I want to share two things. One, I want to thank you for the opportunity, Andy, coming in and adding a completely unique aspect to our industry that wasn't there before. And now you have a couple of competitors that just kind of, sincerest form of flattery is imitation, of course, but nobody's doing it like you guys are doing it, what you're specifically doing. You have a very unique set of skills and your team. So I want to thank you for that. And the second thing I want to leave you with, everybody, is just this giant message of hope along this chain. Our industry, sports, arts, particularly gymnastics as well, is an industry that has bootstrapped itself up from absolutely nothing. Sport to a competitive thing, to a hobby, to sort of a vocation, to, oh my God, we're a real business, to an investment quality business. And now we're all able to collaborate because we have a certain level of success. We have no fear of collaborating now. And that's why companies like Creative Disruptive are successful. That's why companies like Third Level continue to rise, or Leap Learning. That's why an association like the one I described to you, its time has come, especially in a not-for-profit type of environment. Our industry has come a long way, but now we are just getting started with this brand new chapter, which is tremendously exciting because of the technologies, because of the knowledge base that's there, the depth of professionals, and the depth of services that are out there to help.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Frank. We'll be talking to Frank again, I'm sure. There's lots of fast-moving things that are happening, especially in the Frank sphere, that I think the industry needs to hear. But thank you very much, Frank. It's been wonderful chatting with you.
You're welcome, Andy. I really appreciate the opportunity. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.